skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay. Rise and shine, it's your time. Skill up, raise the climb. Navigate, innovate. It's your fate, don't be late. Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay.
If you're a new manager or hoping to be a new manager, join us in our exploration into what managers need to know. This program will set you up for success by building your knowledge and confidence in the skills you need to be effective. Hello, and welcome to What Managers Need to Know, as we look at the fourth week of our exploration of team building skills. A little bit about me. I taught for the Executive Management Institute and the Small Business Development Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Business for 30 years. And I've been a workplace learning and performance improvement consultant with my own business for 38 years. On the first week, we looked at team elements and team characteristics, and I asked you to assess your team against those. Then we looked at team stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Where is your team? And then on the third week, we looked at how to intervene if your team is stuck at one of those stages, particularly at the storming stage, because there are some teams who never get past that stage. Today, we're looking at overcoming the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And according to Patrick Lencioni, there are 5 dysfunctions: an absence of trust, a fear of conflict, a lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. And I want to mention that one about conflict, because people tend to think that if it's a team, that everybody's going to work harmoniously together. And since a team is made up of different personalities with different perspectives and differences of ideas of what should be done and when it should be done, conflict is going to happen. And if we're not prepared for that conflict, we've got a problem. So let's first look at absence of trust. You can tell teams that lack trust, concealed weaknesses and mistakes. They're reluctant to ask for help, and they jump to conclusions about the intentions of other team members. And I'm going to look over here because I'm having trouble reading this screen. So if you want to diagnose whether there's an absence of trust, first, do team members feel comfortable admitting mistakes, weaknesses, and fears to each other? So is there a sense of psychological safety? Is there a prevailing sense of guardedness among team members, or do they openly share their thoughts and ideas? Again, people are not necessarily feeling safe. Have team members had the opportunity to really get to know one another and understand how each other ticks? So if you answer no to these, then you're missing trust in your team and you're missing a sense of psychological safety. The tactics for developing mutual trust: facilitate team building activities. Those will let people get to know each other in a different way. and hopefully become less guarded in how they interact with each other. Lead by example by being open about your own mistakes and weaknesses. So create a sense of a culture of psychological safety. And encourage members to share their thoughts, ideas, and concerns openly. So he calls it developing a sense of mutual trust. I consider it developing a sense of psychological safety. The second dysfunction is fear of conflict. Teams who lack trust fear conflict. They're reluctant to discuss controversial topics and are reluctant to share perspectives and ideas, which is a death knell for a team because we want a team to be continually generating good ideas and innovating so it can progress. We would diagnose a fear of conflict. Are team discussions and meetings generally passive and uneventful or dynamic and passionate? So are people withdrawn or are they actively participating? Do team members avoid disagreements and debates, or do they actively engage in them, understanding them as a tool for decision making, so they're not afraid of conflict? Are decisions usually made without contest, or do team members challenge and question decisions to ensure the best outcomes? And when problems come to the surface, do they do so at a fairly early opportunity, or have they been going on for a long time? The last thing we want is for something to be discussed in a team, for people to be totally quiet about it, but then afterwards to be talking about it and being negative about any decisions that have been made. The tactics to overcome a fear of conflict: make it clear that disagreement is not only acceptable, but encouraged. This is as long as it's respectful and constructive. If someone has a problem or disagreement, thank them for raising the issue, even if they don't end up getting their own way. Share stories of successful conflict resolutions and mediate disagreements when conflicts arise. Conflict will arise. Be planning on how you're going to handle it. A lack of commitment is another dysfunction. Teams who lack commitment do not engage in open discussion due to a fear of conflict. Team members feel their ideas and opinions aren't valued. Members become detached or even resentful, and members fail to commit to the chosen approach or common goal. How would you diagnose a lack of commitment? Can team members readily describe the team's goals and strategy, or is there ambiguity and hesitation? A number of teams are brought together, but it isn't clear who's supposed to do what and why and where the end result is going to be. Do team members clearly understand how their work contributes to the bigger picture? And do team members follow through on their tasks and responsibilities consistently? How would you overcome a lack of commitment? Ensure that everyone feels they have a voice in decisions that affect the team. So you need to have some operating principles that talk about how conflict will be handled, how decisions will be made. Regularly remind the team of what they're working towards. Make it clear how team members' work contributes to the bigger picture. We often are focusing on our small silo, and we're not looking at what's going on around us, what's going on upstream and downstream from what we're doing. And it's very important to stand back and get the larger picture. Recognize and celebrate when the team meets their goals. Celebration, very often that's forgotten. And it's so important because when people have committed their time and their energy and devoted their expertise to accomplishing something, when it is accomplished, let's make sure that we celebrate that. The fourth dysfunction of a team is avoidance of accountability. Because a team doesn't get things done, individuals on a team get things done. Team members who have not bought into the chosen approach or goal will not feel accountable for achieving it. So they show a desire to manage personal risk and avoid conflict. They don't hold one another accountable for their contributions, and team members miss deadlines and deliver mediocre work. You've heard that the chain is as strong as the weakest link. Well, this is where those weak links occur. You would diagnose an avoidance of accountability. Do team members expect good work from each other, or do they overlook low standards and errors? Does the team identify as high performing? Would a new team member pursuing excellence stand out or fit in? Are team members able to ask for better from one another, or are they reluctant? And have I, as a manager, defined clear standards for performance and behavior, and are they consistently applied and upheld? To overcome an avoidance of accountability, make sure each team member understands what is expected of them, both by the manager and one another. Have them create and commit to rules of engagement. Those are those operating guidelines and rules of engagement. And do that at the beginning when you first create your team. What do we expect of each other? What is acceptable membership in the team in terms of behavior and accountability? How will we handle conflict? How will we make decisions? Apply rules and standards to everyone equally and schedule feedback sessions to help members improve their work. So we're not talking about a laissez-faire, let the team go do what it wants and never hold them accountable. It's important that the manager be present, be involved, not micromanaging by any means, but making sure the team is clear what it has been designed to achieve, and then helping the individual participants and members of that team know what's expected of them specifically, and then hold them accountable for that. Tactics to overcome an avoidance of accountability: set teams' targets and make progress visible. Hold yourself accountable and expect the same from your team. This can help foster a culture of responsibility and accountability. So just as it's useful for you as a manager to acknowledge your vulnerabilities and admit when you make mistakes and show that it's all right to do that. We're human beings, we make mistakes. What's important is what we learn from them. It's also important for you to hold yourself accountable. And if for some reason you do not meet some guideline, do not meet some deadline, or follow through on a commitment, to acknowledge that and admit that, and to show that that's important. And the last dysfunction of a team is inattention to results. Team members who are not held accountable for their contributions are more likely to become distracted and focus on individual goals instead of collective success. You would diagnose an inattention to results by answering, is the team more focused on personal success and recognition or on achieving collective results? Could I imagine people on this team making a reasonable personal sacrifice if it helped the larger team? Do decisions feel driven by the desire to achieve team goals, or are they just compromises between individual members' interests? I have a game that I have people play in a team, and they were given groups of 5. They are given pieces of squares, and their job is to make sure that there is a square in front of everyone on the team at the end of the game. Now, some people create their square and they withdraw. And unfortunately, very often those are made with pieces that other squares need to have. And then you have other people who are looking around, handing pieces off to other people to help them create their square. And you have some people who have created their square and then start to give away all the pieces. I've had one man in one of my groups busy with all of the pieces, because if you can't use a piece, you can put it in the middle of the table. He was busy trying to create all of the squares, and everyone around him was hovering, trying to help, and he didn't look up, and he couldn't do it. And when I asked him afterwards why that was, that he didn't look for help, he said he didn't work in an organization where it was acceptable to admit mistakes, and that if he asked for help, he would be considered less. So let's not have that happen with your teams. You can diagnose an inattention to results. Does the team evaluate their progress toward achieving their collective goals and adjust their plans accordingly, or is progress primarily measured in terms of personal performance or workload? And tactics to increase attention to results. Establish clear, measurable goals for the team and regularly check in on progress. Implement a system to recognize and reward the team for achieving their goals. Regularly communicate the value of collective results over individual accomplishments. Recognize and reward people for putting the team goals ahead of their own. If you find that your team is exhibiting these dysfunctions and you're not sure how to help them get past them, let's talk. If you would like help in building your team, schedule time to talk at that URL or use that handy dandy QR code. I'll be happy to discuss what might need to be done to help your team be successful. Next week, which is our last week, we're going to look at the characteristics of high-performing teams. So I hope that you will join us to look at that and assess your own team. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you so much for coming and participating in our discussion of what managers need to know. You can find the videos of this and previous sessions on my YouTube channel or under events on my LinkedIn profile. I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Get the skill, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way. skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Oh, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Yeah. Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost.